So welcome to our May 2020 giveaway on the Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston and it is great to have you with us. Now, congratulations to In for winning this month or May's overview, for winning May's giveaway. All right, so let's get into it. Now, if you haven't yet watched one of these giveaway videos, you want a little bit of context, I suggest you watch the first few minutes of our first one in the playlist just to get a feel. Don't have to do that now, maybe do that later, but enjoy the process of how we unpack and work with information of the I Ching. Now, this is my interpretation of the hexagrams. It's obviously, like anybody, it's based on your worldview and how you see life and how you look and what you see when you see the symbols of the I Ching. You know, we all have a filter, whether we like it or not. We all have rust in the pipe. It just depends how much rust and what kind of rust. And as long as we are committed to getting rid of the rust, that is more important than anything else. Right, so our process, our task here is to work with continuously unpacking our ability to master this life, to develop clarity and agility, and to really take life by the horns and to take ourselves by the horns to grow and develop. Because if we aren't growing, then the universe isn't expanding. No pressure! Okay, so let's expand the universe today. All right, so congratulations. Ask the question. Please advise on making a career move. Lots of people thinking about careers and where we go next, and let us work with question. Okay, so please advise on making a career move. We're going to work with the coins. We cast the coins. We don't throw them. That's my view anyway. We cast them. We are lovingly. The little angels come to bring us messages. And so let's draw up the lines. We have an 8. All right, and now let us speed it up. Okay, and as I finished up that last one, the coin was so excited, it jumped off the table and on the floor. But I can see it, it's okay. So it's a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great, we've got all 6. All right. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So here we have our top trigram is mountain. Okay, mountain sinks and rests. Okay, sinks and rests as an energy. And here we have water on the inside. Water sinks to its lowest level. Right. We have one changing line, okay, in the 3rd position. So there it is. And this hexagram is for Youthful, Folly. Okay. All right, and now when we do our outcome hexagrams, this is the present or the main focus of change. And now we're going to do our outcome over here. What we're doing is we're taking any changing line, okay, a 6 or a 9, if you cast a 6 or a 9, and we're changing them to their opposites. So here we go. And this is mountain, obviously stays the same because we have no changing lines in the top half, and we have wind, wood on the bottom, and windward, I'll do this lines over here. It moves upwards and disperses. Okay, so its energy is upwards and disperses. So what we can often do is we can see through the movement and the energy of the 2 different trigrams what kind of story we're telling. Okay, so we have mountain, right? Strong, fixed. We have wind, which is gentle. What happens when we have a strong, solid mountain against wind? Well, wind struggles to get anywhere. Okay, and this hexagram is 18. Work on what has been spoiled. Okay, and remember we did last month's one, we also looked at what is the nuclear which is the heart of the situation. And here we have earth over thunder. Earth sinks, thunder moves up. Okay, and this is hexagram 24, the return. So if you've been following the episodes, you know we had return recently as one of our weekly overviews. So let's have a look. So our current or our present or our main focus of a state of change for your question is the hexagram Youthful, Folly. And Youthful Folly is, if you think of a symbol, here's the mountain, okay, and here is the water trying to erode the mountain, which is futile, okay. The water does not have the ability, and it's sinking. So the more it's trying to erode at the mountain and push this mountain, the more it's eroding and falling back on itself. This is the hexagram of recognizing where we are inexperienced and where we need more help to get us to the next place. I love the analogy of the Karate Kid. So if you're a kid of the 80s or the 90s, you will know the story. And so if you think of the characters of the young kid meeting with this Mr. Miyagi being this mountain sage, okay, immovable, inconquerable, and this youth with trying to get around the system and not putting in the work in, and eventually being forced to recognize his ability to put in the effort, to be disciplined, and to develop and really put in effort into his skills to help him win the championship. I hope I'm summarizing the movie properly. Okay, so that's the idea. Another way to look at this hexagram is it talks about the idea of don't be silly. And I say that not to patronize you or to say that you are being silly, but it's that idea of the youth trying to do something beyond what the youth is currently able to do. Now, there's a very interesting changing line here for you, and I'm going to go into it in quite a bit of detail. But what I feel like, before we go on to the other aspects of this overview, I'd like to just share with you that our question is about advising you in making a career move. Okay. Career move means we're changing the focus of what it is we do, how we create value. We're changing our career. We're applying everything we've learned, but we're now doing it in a completely different direction. And the I Ching, for me, is saying, don't do that. Now, nothing can stop you from doing whatever you want to do, but there's a sense here that what you were contemplating, you're not yet ready for. Okay. And when we get into this little changing line, we'll have a look at some more. But what I'd like to do is now head over to the heart, okay, this nuclear. What is at the heart of this question of a career move? And this is the hexagram, the return, okay. So the return is a turning point from the dark night into a position of better times, or return to something you've done before, okay. A return back to your roots. And I feel like, and we'll have a look at some of the others as well, but I feel like what this is saying is that embarking on a new career is not yet here. You're not yet ready for it. But an opportunity to return back to something that you're going through, to make a decision that's a turning point for you, is within this energy. Okay, we are being given an opportunity to work with a turning point, a return back. So I feel like maybe what this is saying is not necessarily a career move, but it's the openness to changing your employer or changing where you are within the career, within the thing that you currently do, or returning back to something you did before. This might even be returning back to an employer you worked before, an opportunity in your past, something that you've worked at before, perhaps in a slightly different way, or going back to something that you did before. But there's certainly not a feeling of a career move, of something new that you haven't done before. Return back to what you've done before. Okay, so this is not ruling out a change in employer, because we didn't ask that question, but it's about your career move itself. What is it that you have to think about? It's not about starting new, it's about returning. Okay, so interesting changing lines. Let's have a look at those next. The changing line that you have here is quite interesting, and it brings you some challenge, something for you to really think about. This changing line refers to, oh, pen is dying, sorry but surely, the queen who's defended by a very fierce king. Okay, and one of the things, if we had to put it into a story, is throwing yourself away for the queen, okay, losing your power, right, and your independence. Okay, and this changing line, we also read the changing lines of the nuclear in the same position, in the third position, talks about coming back from the brink of a crisis, coming back to you. And I feel like if we look at these two lines, coming back to you, returning back to you, and coming back from the crisis, there's a sense here of a call to you in the question area of your career, of putting you back in the center of this question. So I don't know what's going on in your life, obviously I can't possibly know, but there's a sense here that you run the risk in the present situation, okay? So this might be if you have a particular career opportunity you're considering, or this relates to your current employment, is there's a strong queen who is protected by a strong king, and you run the risk of losing your power and independence in the situation. And you have this doubling of pull back from the crisis and find you, return to you. So I would say that part of this process, and the I Ching is saying this quite loudly and clearly, is that in your current situation there's quite a lot going on, and whatever you're contemplating, whatever moves you might make in the career, even if you're contemplating a change in employer, what you have to do is put you in the center of the story. And my sense is that if you let other people's ideas for you, the queen, the king, whoever those symbolically might be, or they're not necessarily people but archetypes in your life, or stories in your life, wherever you let the queen and the king choose your direction for you, come up with a great idea for you that is not you, you have to get out of it. So there's quite a strong calling to call you to be absolutely conscious of where your power is, where your independence is. If you get involved in something which ties you up like a ball of string or locks you in for a long period of time, you know, I often think of like where you have deals where you get the deal, but then you have 3 years you're locked in, and then you get shares at the end of the 3 years, but the shares are dependent on whether the company's made a profit. It's those kinds of things that I would be very worried about. Be very cautious of this kind of situation, because the I Ching is saying that in your career, you're currently at risk of losing that to the situation. Don't be silly. Put you in the center of this whole consideration. Don't let other people determine your fate. Return to you. Okay, the outcome hexagram. Whoa, 18, work on what has been spoilt. Okay, so this is the weeds in the garden. Okay, I'm trying to go weeds in the garden, right? And we have beautiful flowers and we have things in the garden, but the garden has become overrun with weeds, things that haven't been addressed. And now the work is to clear out the garden and get the admin done and do the hard graft in the sun to clear up and fix something that has been neglected. I would say, given that this question is about your career, what I would encourage you to do, be very conscious of this lock-in type situations where you are the loser and others are the winner, and pay attention to where might you have let parts of your career fall apart in the busyness of life, in the projects, in the stuff that needs to get done. What has fallen by the wayside that should get attention? As a complete example, are you doing a course or some kind of training, or you've been on some kind of process where you are developing your skills, and because things are too busy, it's been reprioritized, or you have reprioritized because you put other people before you? Now, so this is what I'm thinking, is that go back, have a look at your CV, go and look at what you're wanting to do, go and look at what you've put down because you've been too busy, and reprioritize. Come up with a personal strategy, okay, I'm making these words big, on where you want to move when the time is right, because there's stuff that has to be dealt with. We're not ready yet. There's work to be done to clear out the weeds, prepare the CV, get your thinking done, get your strategy done, okay? This is what the I Ching is asking you to pay attention to, in my opinion. So good luck with that. There is you in the center of this question, not letting the queen or the king decide what you should do or what should happen to you. It's you. It's your career. It's your time. And make sure you don't get tied up in these bundled offerings that tie you up like a ball of string. There's work to do. Go back and have a look. Return back to things you've started that were good for your career that you've put down, and go and do them. Thank you to everybody for being with me in the session. Please go along to the link below. You'll find the link to the monthly giveaway, and you enter, get your question in. Really love working with your real life questions, because that's when the I Ching really comes alive. All right, if not, go and check out our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, wherever you love to hang out, for our daily I Ching stories. And of course, we have our weekly, monthly, and special episodes that come out to support you in your life. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.